Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, a lot of entertainment, sports, and gaming news coming out of Las Vegas. Rick Velotta has it all from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Is here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. You have a great hotel here. Mike Pegerman's invested a ton of money into this place to make it just gorgeous. Tell people what they can expect when they come down and stay.
A real quality experience, Sam, and the rooms, you've stayed in them, they're good size, very well appointed, clean, and for about $65 Sunday through Thursday right now through the winter. After you're done with your meetings, you take a nice, beautiful scenic drive and come stay in a very nice, beautiful room. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Las Vegas here at the Ahern Hotel. We are delighted, as always, to be joined by Rick Velotta. He is the tourism and gaming reporter and business, of course, for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Always a pleasure to have you here on the program, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
You know, people always say to me, you know, your timing is always good. When big stories break, you have the right people here. I always book you because there's always going to be a big story breaking when it comes to gaming. Several things. Let's start out with the Super Bowl. What does this mean? Marilyn Kirkpatrick was saying, when I asked her about, will it be 10 days like the NFR? She said, no, it'll be more like 20 days.
That's probably true.
Really?
And the thing is that I was fortunate enough to go up to Minneapolis the month before they had their Super Bowl, the last time that they had it there. And the NFL just takes over the place. And the thing is that it's a little bit daunting, a little bit scary for us, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the thing is that the NFL is like everywhere. They have all kinds of experiences for fans to do. Most of the people who come to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl aren't going to go to the game. The thing is that the capacity is only 65,000, but it'll probably be expanded to 70 because they have the technology inside to do that. But the fact is that there's National Finals Rodeo that we just saw here has the template in place to stage big events by doing auxiliary events outside of the game itself. And that's exciting.
Yes, I mean, and your point is well made, which is that just because you're in Las Vegas for the event doesn't mean to say you're actually going to the event, because every property has viewings and showings, etc. Sure. Just like they did for the MMA fight over this past weekend. I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah, and they'll have player appearances, alumni appearances of different football teams. So, you know, it's one of those things that that it's an event that it's going to, Maryland Kirkpatrick says 20 days. It might even be longer than that, who knows? Just because there's so much preparation that goes into it, so many things that are happening leading up to the game itself. And that's what's going to do great for the tourism here. And that's why we're probably going to break all the records in terms of economic impact.
This is also a question I posed to her, but I posed to you as well, which is, does this not show that for Las Vegas, perhaps not for other places, but for Las Vegas, the investment in that stadium really made sense?
Absolutely. I've been an advocate of that for a long time, because I have felt that we're not just building a stadium for the Raiders. We're talking about building a stadium for some kind of an arena that will stage a whole lot of different things. Among them, the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl, Garth Brooks concerts, all kinds of things that are going on there. And I think that people who feel that it's just for the Raiders are a little bit short-sighted. But let me get into that area about where there's a little bit of concern. As I mentioned, the NFL kind of takes over the place as 25 to 30 days before the game itself. Well, what happens 25 to 30 days before, in this case, Super Bowl in 2024? CES is here. World of Concrete is here. The SHOT Show is here. The Hunters Outdoor Show is here in town. So all those are going to be competing with some of these NFL people that are going to be coming in advance of the game. So I'm not sure how they've worked that out just yet, but because this is all brand new, they've just recently announced this. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in terms of our convention industry versus the biggest NFL game on the season slate.
Yeah, and obviously, as Steve Hill was very much involved, the head of the convention authority, in the stadium itself.
Yes.
I mean, this is not something that he hasn't thought about. Do you see this as an incentive for people to build more rooms? And we're going to get to the Mirage in a minute, but is this going to be an incentive to build more rooms?
I'm not sure at this point, because we still have a few more rooms in the pipeline. We've been promised, and I know that we've been promised this before and it hasn't happened, but we've been promised that the Fontainebleau project is going to come true, and that's a lot of rooms right there. We also have about 8,000 more rooms now than we did a year ago. So I don't know that the capacity has actually been infilled yet, but I'm sure there are a lot of people, a lot of smart business people that are looking at the opportunity to build here in this, this incredible growth cycle that we've got going right now, especially as it relates to sports.
I think that the thing in favor of the Fontainebleau actually getting finished now is the fact that the Koch Industries is part of the investment structure, and they have the money to actually get this done.
I agree.
You don't have to go to a bank to do it.
Sure. And I think that that's something that, barring some unforeseen, downturn in the economy, which is always a possibility when
Sure.
you have pandemics rolling around all the time. That's something that people are going to probably be conscious of all the time, but having that investments process in place is going to be really good for getting that project finally done.
All right, so it was the long-held dream of Phil Ruffin, owner of Treasure Island, to purchase the Mirage. And I thought, boy, is he going to be disappointed with the fact that it's gone to Hard Rock, the Seminole tribe. But then when I looked at the report from CBRE this morning, and it said the price that they paid for the property, I'm thinking Phil Ruffin ain't paying that kind of money for something.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Not enough land.
Yes, and Mr. Ruffin is a really smart guy in terms of how to do these things. He was able to get Circus, as you know, and then TI is kind of a reimagined property the way it is now. But you're right. I think he wanted to get to the Mirage because they're connected, and they even have a tram that runs between the two properties. But it's also true that the Hard Rock International made it very clear that they wanted a strip property. And when the Mirage became available, I think it was just a matter of time. We all said, oh, that's what's going to happen. and we just wanted to wait and see until the actual ink dried on the contract. But the fact is that Hard Rock is coming as a tribal enterprise on the Strip, which is pretty incredible in itself. We have 2 other tribes that are in town, but not on the Strip. So it's an interesting dynamic. I'm not really keen on the guitar-shaped hotel, but I can be swayed, I guess, when I see it.
A lot of people said that about the Stratosphere when it was first proposed, and now it's become an iconic part of the skyline. What's funny is that, all these years later, it's like close to 50 years later, people are still collecting Hard Rock mementos and T-shirts from all over the world.
Of course.
And so, I think it's just going to be another beacon for people to come in here. The A's, the Tropicana site. This is the latest thing that's being floated out there. The discussion is a $12 billion property over there in Oakland. Where do you think this is? Is this a stalking horse for Oakland, or is this a reality for Tropicana?
I think we're always going to be nervous about being played by somebody, because we've seen it happen before here in Las Vegas when the Montreal Expos were rumored to be coming here. I don't remember how long ago that was, but it was quite a while. So it's always in the back of your mind. But the Bally's people have been pretty upfront about this. It was interesting. I first talked to Sue Kim, the chairman of Bally's Corporation, back in June. And I asked him about the A's and a stadium site. And he said, well, I really don't know too much about this. I don't even know how much land I need to build a stadium if I were going to do that. But if they come calling, I'm going to take the call. Well, apparently that happened. So I think it's interesting that Tropicana seems to be in the front of the line right now. But think of how powerful that's going to be for not only Hard Rock, not only Bally's and the Tropicana, but for all those MGM properties. I did a count the other day, and it's like 20,000 rooms that are under MGM's control right down there where the stadium is. And this is all the sports. This is NFL, Allegiant Stadium, NHL, T-Mobile Arena, and maybe a baseball stadium right next to it, Tropicana.
It's just amazing. One thing that I've not really gotten out of the reporting so far is if the A's project moves ahead, would that require that the Tropicana buildings be taken down, or would that become part of the project?
I think there's additional room, additional land behind where the Tropicana is now. I would think that they would probably incorporate some kind of a plan that would maybe tie the hotel together with the stadium. They've done that in San Diego with Petco Park. It's a real sweet arrangement for the hotel because you have people who, after the game, they're going to want to get a drink at the bar or something, and they'll come through, maybe gamble a little bit. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for Bally's to do that. And if, as long as they have the room to do it and have the capability and the financing to do it, I would think that would be the way to go rather than knock things down. I
was at a show at New York after a game of the Golden Knights at T-Mobile, and you talk about those fans coming in for a drink and to gamble. They were just coming through en masse.
Absolutely.
That is a fantastic alignment there. Do you see, because they certainly have the money to do it if they wanted to, more Native American tribes from California looking to come into Nevada?
I don't know that these three that are here now are pretty prominent among the tribal enterprises that are out there. There are others that are probably just as capable of doing that. Whether they will or not, I can't really speculate, because I think that they're going to have to do a lot of due diligence in order to find the right fit. It seems like the Hard Rock's the right fit for the Mirage. It seems like the tribe that's that the Mohegan Sun folks are a right fit for Virgin. All these things have to be the right fit, and it's kind of a tough speculation as to determine whether more are going to be coming.
You spoke of Bally's and owning the Tropicana property. They don't own the land, but they own the property. And they are separate, we should point out, than Bally's on the Strip. they also have the property up at Lake Tahoe.
Right.
And now that Caesars, run by the El Dorado people, are reinvigorating Lake Tahoe, that seems like that was a really smart move for them to go into to Tahoe.
Oh, these Bally's folks are pretty sharp. They're very aggressive in their growth. They've done a lot in sports wagering. They've got 3 states under that they actually have a sports betting operation going on, and then they're in Atlantic City. They've done all the right things so far, and this was like a small company in Rhode Island that managed to do this. They just hired the right people, and they've got the right attitude towards what sports wagering means to them. And I think that that's in itself kind of telling in terms of them wanting to be in Nevada, specifically that little corner on Tropicana Avenue and
That little corner.
Where there's probably 10,000 rooms, but it's really incredible to see. And you mentioned that's not the same Bally's as the Bally's that's owned by Caesars. It's probably important to say that this Hard Rock is not the same Hard Rock that owned the Hard Rock Hotel off Strip for a while too. This is a different enterprise with the same name.
All right, let's take a break here. So much exciting stuff going on.
There is.
We'll be right back.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Hey, Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
Before the masks, before the distancing, before the world changed, UMC was ready. Our response to COVID-19 began before the crisis did, with our own team of infectious disease experts who've spent their careers planning for this moment. With a pandemic response plan, we'd practiced again and again, and by blazing new trails in large-scale testing, including every patient we admit. Always ready. UMC.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rick Velotta. He is the tourism and gaming and business reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Let's talk about Resorts World. They kind of had, I hate to say this, but a slightly rocky opening. Crockford's wasn't really open. They had to move people to another location. I was over there. It looks beautiful. It is a gorgeous property. And it's interesting to see how they've really combined a major shopping mall with the property itself. I mean, it's not fully developed yet, but you can see that there's going to be 3 stories of shops when they finally get done. But it seems like they're still having growing pains with their Uber pickups and things like that. What are your thoughts, and what are the response you're getting from Resorts World at this point?
I think that this is a whole different environment for the Resorts World parent company, Genting. It's one thing to say, yeah, we want to, build a big $4 billion property on the Strip in Las Vegas. It's another thing to actually execute some of the ideas that you have. And I think that they're just going through a little pause here where they're trying to do that and kind of get used to the Las Vegas way. They've already found one of their restaurants is is gone. They've had a setback with Celine Dion with her health and not being able to perform as early as they wanted. But these are all things that they're working out. I think their management is on top of it. It may take a little while for them to get fully up to where they want to be, but they've only been around for less than 6 months. So it's one of those things that I think that there is an adjustment period, and maybe the public should cut them a little slack.
Well, and people like me, it's funny because and you and I both experienced this, seeing the opening of the Mirage and Bellagio and Wynn that was so flawless. So when you see any errors that are made, you just kind of go, well.
Oh, but I think some of those properties had some hiccups that maybe we didn't see initially too. But and there's so much focus on Resorts World because of the company that's doing this. They're a huge, diverse company that does all kinds of things with energy and all other things in addition to tourism and resorts. But I don't think any hotel property resort opening is going to be flawless.
Right.
And I bet that there are more stories about the openings of some of these properties that didn't go well that we don't know about than we do with Resorts World.
Well, and I should point out again that it is an absolutely gorgeous property. The swimming pools are phenomenal, and the restaurants are phenomenal. So in no way am I bad-mouthing the property.
Yeah.
It was just kind of interesting. Another thing that came out of that CBRE report this morning was with the value placed on Mirage, that alters the value of Wynn. And it reminds me of a time when Phil Satry said to me that Kirk Kerkorian never fell in love with his assets. And that's why he built the International, sold it, built the MGMs and sold them in Reno and Las Vegas, and then built the final MGM. Does the value of Wynn, is that causing a discussion about potential sale of that after we've seen what happened with Las Vegas Sands?
Boy, that's one of those things that I think a lot of people are speculating on. I've heard stories about Wynn being for sale for like the last year and a half, and we try to check them out, and it always seems to be that they are they plan to stay with what they're doing. Obviously, for Wynn, they've got assets in Boston, here, and in Macau, and certainly that's a lot on their plate right now. Whether they would sell all that off, I mean, you're right. We see the example in Las Vegas Sands. We see that example in, who would have ever thought that the Mirage would have been sold? I certainly didn't think that was in the cards, but here it is. So I think that Wynn right now is stable with where they're at. They're going to be staying put, and they'll enjoy the valuation to go up. The so-called rising tide that raises all boats theory on that. So who knows what 2022 has in store for us? But it's like yesterday with 5 breaking news stories going on at the same time. You just never know in Las Vegas. It's always an exciting adventure.
And we'll be right back.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and Twitter. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for Season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
You're in with every gangster and hoodlum in the United States.
I don't go for that, Mr. Kennedy. I don't go for that kind of action.
I was on television accused of fronting for the mob.
Subscribe to Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, Season 2, today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dad?
What are you learning? This place is great.
Huh?
You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and YouTube. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rick Velotta. He's the tourism, gaming, and business reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. So one of the things that's been discussed here on the program in the last couple of days is the possibility of Las Vegas Sands doing something else in Las Vegas now that they have sold the properties they have. And as I pointed out before, you have to fight for your stories about Las Vegas Sands, even though the same company owns the paper as well as the properties. Any words you can share with us on that?
I really, I'm kind of as in the dark as everybody else is on that. I know that they're very interested in developing their sports wagering program, but everything that they've indicated to us is that Macau and Singapore is where it's at for that company.
And that's where we have to leave it. Rick Velotta, what an exciting show. Thank you so much. So much going on. Las Vegas, what a town. And we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you next time.